Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. Thank you for being here. We have an unbelievable show today. We are going to have lots of fun. Please type in questions while we go on. We're talking to a lady. We do not believe in superwomen, okay?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Maybe we believe in that. I mean, this thing about you can do it all, you can be like all, you can do everything, and you can, manage everything in your life. So we are not superwomen. We're not women aspiring to be superwomen, okay? That is a fallacy, and it just makes us insane. Any more insane than we already are, or I'll speak for myself, any more than I am. So here's the thing. But it certainly is extremely, extremely inspiring to meet people and to discuss with people how do they do it? Like they're doing a million different things. So we have a guest expert on today who is so awesome and does a million things and has the right what's the word I'm looking for? Like the right spiritual aspect, understanding of life, is pointed in the right direction, is trying to help the nation, trying to help the world, doing fantastic things while running a household, while homeschooling her children. You heard that right. You just banged the thing. The poor Instagram people had it think there's no earthquake.
There's an earthquake.
There's no earthquake. So while she's running, and she just started a very fabulous magazine. It was online, and now she's gone to print and whatever. So she's doing it all. So we don't want to we want to pick apart and figure out what she's doing and how she's doing it so that we can learn to maximize our own potential, because clearly this lady is trying to maximize her potential. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the magazine's called Nashim Magazine, and it's Rochel Lazar who is with us here today. And welcome, Rochel. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Good. Can they see her and everything? Oh, good. And both things. Is she on Instagram yet?
No, not yet.
Can you click Instagram?
Yeah.
I could do it a fourth time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's not. Can you invite her again?
I tried.
You tried. Okay.
Until I see you, I can't.
All right. Okay. So if you Instagram people, just look her up. It's
Instagram people. Just look at her picture on our post.
And Nashim Magazine. Look up Nashim Magazine. Is it .com or something? What's your website?
Yeah, NashimMagazine.com.
Nashim Nashim Magazine. So that way you can sort of look at that
Nashim
after.
in Hebrew means women, so that's what it is.
Women's
Nashim
Magazine. There you
Women's Magazine. Perfect name.
So we're going to start with we're going to put you right in the hot seat here. Okay. Because that's what we like to do. So first of all, thank you for being here. It's very awesome. And so the first question we have for you is we all are looking for role models or whatever. And it's very annoying when people think, oh, you're such a role model for me. It's like,
oh my God, Liz, turn your thing for them, and then they can see her. The Instagram people can see her.
But then
yeah, good. And then
but I can't see her then. Can they see her?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can see her like that. They can see her good enough. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. Okay, well, I can see this. This works. Okay, so fine. But just
still move it over.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got this.
Well, you can make us dizzy. Okay, so good. So the question is, but the Facebook people, they see her on Slipstream. Oh, they're good. They're happy.
Okay. Her anyways.
Have you ever seen a show that has more technical?
Oh,
that is totally awesome.
Sorry, folks, we have to show Leah how
okay,
Facebook
that's
is
awesome. We're good. We're good. Okay, so fine. So the first question we're going to start with is, tell us a little bit, like you're going along, you got a bunch of kids in homeschooling, first of all. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that. But then then your brain goes to, let me start a magazine, no problem. Tell us a little about the homeschooling. What are the ages of your kids, and how do you do that, and how do you get your groceries into the house?
Well, that part's easy. I do online ordering mostly, so.
Okay.
Amazon.
Fine.
That's a lifesaver for sure. Okay, so I actually have my oldest is 13 and my youngest is almost 2, which is actually the age of the magazine. I started the magazine
when the baby was born.
Yeah, well, as she's in the labor room, she's like, okay, we're starting a magazine. We're going to produce a child and a magazine together.
That's how I remember anybody's age.
OMG.
So I said I had twins. That's really what happened.
Twins.
What?
Oh, not real twins. She said she had twins because the magazine came out.
Oh, okay. I got that. I was like,
not actual twins.
I actually, when I was working, when she was like very little, I held her up next to the screen and I took a picture, and I'm like, my 2 babies. So.
Okay, got it. Okay.
We like it.
So you have 13. So, but hold on. Is everybody in the different age for homeschooling? Is everybody in different ages?
So my older 2 are very close in age, and they're both boys. So when I started this, I started because of medical reasons for my oldest, and my younger one basically sat down with us at the table and started learning with us. So we just continued. I'm really teaching both of them the same age range. So
that's a little bit of a help.
Hold on, the Instagram.
I know, yes, the Instagram. I just saw you join on, so now you can ask to join us. Yes, and I'm going to put you on.
Oh, is now she's split?
Yes,
okay, can I turn this back around so I
Yes,
can?
now you can turn.
Get a crick in my neck.
But
okay, hold on, I
Instagram
can't do
people,
this.
we hope you enjoyed that little back and forth.
Hope you appreciate our efforts here. Okay, so good. Okay, so all the technical is solved. Okay, great. Okay, so go ahead. So you had your baby. You teach the 2 older boys.
My 2 older boys, I homeschooled them for many years. It was working nicely. We enjoyed it. It was like a great lifestyle that we kind of fell into. I love planning field trips and vacations whenever everybody else is back in school. Instagram, hi, sorry. I'm on both screens now. This is very exciting.
Oh, you can move that screen next to the thing so that you don't have to keep looking back and forth. But mostly look at the Facebook one because that's the other one. Instagram's only 24 hours.
Yeah, but just accept us.
Our most viewers, it's accept us? Oh.
Yeah.
It's not saying that, but if I see it, I'll push it. How about that?
Perfect.
Fine. But mostly look at this main one because this is the 24. This is up all the whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
is
The other one's
forever.
Instagram over 24 hours later. Okay, so go ahead. So what's your middle kid? You have a 2-year-old, and what's the middle age of the kid?
No, he's 4.5.
So what does he do?
So he's in preschool now. I mean, but he's not. He's at home, but he's preschool age. So. Okay, so I mean, there was a lot of years that I just
take notes, guys. Take a lot of notes. Okay.
A lot of years that I just had my older 2, and I kind of settled into a rhythm with them. And there's a huge age gap between.
You put the 2 older boys. You put duct tape, and you go play with a 4-year-old and make cookies. Yeah, okay.
So I mean, I was very hands-on. I was very into hands-on teaching them for many, many years. When my 4.5-year-old was born. Things flipped on their heads as, we got used to a certain way, obviously, and now there's a new baby, and then pretty soon after my little one was born. So things are a little bit different than they used to be. And if you ask my almost 12-year-old, he will be like, you don't take us anywhere anymore. I don't know if it's the littles. I don't know if it's the magazine. So when you're telling, people how does she do it? I don't.
So you're basically saying no one should feel the pressure because it's very hard to do it all. There's something's going to be shortchanged somewhere. I guess trips with the kids is
the first thing.
I've been putting aside time to take each of them out for small things, even just to the coffee bean or take a walk with them. Because I mean, my younger ones are definitely growing up a lot differently than my older ones were. But you know what?
What do you mean by that? I didn't understand.
I mean, my older kids, they had a lot more mommy time, and we did trips all the time. There was a lot more hands-on learning than they're getting now. They do a lot more. I mean, they're older now also, so there's a lot more independent work. Each of them kind of gets me a list of what they've accomplished that day. They have a lot of extracurriculars. They help my husband out in some of his businesses. They get a lot.
What do you mean?
So my oldest actually my husband is he just started acquiring a pizza shop. So it's a local pizza shop. He just acquired a pizza shop. Anyway, so my 13-year-old is helping bus tables now.
Nice.
That's actually very good.
That's amazing because that's going to be in stuff he can do at home. Yeah.
He's going to learn how to
joke. He's going to learn how to be an amazing husband who helps his wife.
Right, he's on site. He's learning what it means to have a job, to earn his own money. He's all excited. I made $25 today. You know what I mean? My almost 12-year-old, he helps with bookkeeping sometimes. He likes numbers. He'll do that kind of thing. So I mean, they're learning life skills. So
okay, we're not going to say child labor.
No, but look, there's a place and there's a place if he's getting.
Sure. No, it's amazing.
His father's business, he's helping.
Yeah,
And also being with his daddy, there's something really special
It's
about
so
being with
amazing.
your daddy.
Yeah,
He can work
I
with
mean,
his
and
family.
I think that life experience is sometimes, I'm not going to say always, but most of the time, more important than inside book learning. And listen, they've been doing that for years. So ask them to write an essay, and they can do it. So my younger ones, on the other hand, that's where my struggle is, because obviously now that I've started Nashim, my life has gotten busier. I've learned to delegate. My husband begged me for months to get help in the house, and I finally relented. And I have an amazing babysitter who comes most days to take them for a bunch of hours, where I'm like, okay, this is my work time. I schedule my meetings. I schedule, like, have you noticed my house is quiet right this minute? My baby isn't even sleeping, and she's supposed to be, but she's downstairs with my babysitter. So, I mean, I've learned to delegate. That's a very important one.
Leia's big into childcare anyways, so childcare is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So you're now. So all this is going on. You're doing the kids. Let me ask you, like, you have macaroni and cheese for dinner every night?
I wish.
So
happens to be the medical stuff that I had mentioned, the reason we started homeschooling, although now we love it and we do it for its own sake, limits what my oldest son can eat. So everything has to be made from scratch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe that's why I started the pizza shop.
No,
like,
joke.
okay, we're having
Yeah,
pizza
every
every
night.
night.
Nobody needs to spend. No, okay.
We've never had takeout pizza his entire life, and now that my husband is there, we asked the person who makes the pizza, who's the other owner, and we're like, how much sodium is in this and that? And like, it turns out they could have been eating pizza all this time.
Wow.
Just in that place, not everywhere.
Wow.
But so he's been eating too much pizza.
So I just had a thought popped in my head in terms of, what do you do with the kids for social?
So that's a question I get all the time. It happens to be Baltimore is the largest Jewish homeschooling community in America. And there's people who move here just for that community, believe it or not. Like, how people move for schools, people move here to be part of the homeschooling community. So there's
what does that mean to be part of the homeschooling community?
So there's a WhatsApp group, there's a listserv, there's a Facebook group. There's like, people are constantly posting, I'm starting this art class, we're going to the aquarium and we're organizing this day. I mean, just like weekly Parsha classes or Rosh Chodesh groups, or, I mean, there's a lot going on here. So he's got, and then Baltimore is also full of museums and just places for hands-on learning, and they have a lot of classes that you can sign up for.
This is not an advertisement for Baltimore. I walked into that, so yeah, but that's
by the way.
What would you advise people who didn't live in Baltimore?
So some people homeschool using, there's so many methods of homeschooling, and it really just depends on what you're doing. There's people who do online courses, and there's I think more than one at this point, online school where they can go and have like a classroom setting. It's just virtual. So they are meeting friends that way, and they have like time off where they're just kind of talking. My second son was doing that for a little bit of time. So there's definitely options. It's harder in far-flung communities. I know there, somebody's doing Kira out in the boondocks. Like, there's definitely a challenge, especially because there are usually homeschool communities around. They're just not Jewish. So, I mean, it's more of a challenge. But I also think that people press this issue more than it needs to be. I don't necessarily think that when people think of socialization, they're usually talking about the kind that you get in school where there's 25 kids that are forced to sit at the same table because they're the same age, whether they would actually naturally become friends or not. So the truth is, a child doesn't need more than one or two very good friends that are actually their speed and that they relate to on a very deep level. That's really all you need. It's not necessarily, when people say socialization, they're talking in a school environment, but who says that's the best for a kid anyway? I'm not knocking schools at all.
No, but I love the fact that
do what's best for them. For us, we love homeschooling. I never try and tell people everyone should homeschool. It's not right for everyone, for sure not. And also, we take it year by year. I have tons of friends, and my own family also. Like my second son, when he gets to high school, he wants to go to yeshiva. So I'm all for that. Each kid, and whatever works at the right time for your family is great. But I do think this issue with socialization is probably blown out of proportion. And I think that real socialization is being out in the world and speaking to people in a mature fashion.
Not being socially awkward or whatever.
By the
And I
way,
think my kids are getting that experience on a daily basis. If my kids are somewhere and they need something, they have no problem going up to the adult there and just, you know, hey, can I please have this? There's no like awkward shyness. I don't speak to adults. We like kind of avert our eyes, like, because they're used to it. They interact with people.
I want to go somewhere a little deeper, which is I want to find out what is the spiritual aspect. I mean, like, in other words, you know, we're all living these lives, right? We're going about our business. We're barreling ahead, trying to, you know, make money, trying to get our kids educated, trying to get our family, you know, closer. There's all these things on our agenda, trying to get a nice dress, trying to get a new tablecloth. We're frenzied, okay? How in the midst of all the stuff that you're doing, and then we'll get to the magazine in a minute, but in the midst of all the stuff we're doing, how do you bring God into your life with every waking moment? I mean, I'm not trying to hold you to an impossible standard, but I mean, how do you bring that spirituality into your life so that it's not just waking up and all this stuff I got to do? It has a deeper meaning, is what I'm saying.
There's two things that I try and do. I will be completely honest. There are days when I completely forget to say brachos in the morning. I mean, it's a challenge for me that I try and remember to do. It's my own personal thing, and every year, like, that's the thing I always try and key in on. But but one thing I do is throughout my day, I talk to Hashem all the time, and I feel like, you know, if you're recognizing that whatever you're doing because this is the place that he put you in right now in order to accomplish something, in order to grow, and to everything that's thrown your way is because it's supposed to be thrown your way, and you remember that and you're speaking to him about it as you're going, it kind of changes your perspective on everything. I'm not saying I'm not frenzied. I get stressed out a lot, but if you keep that in your mind, that everything that, like, and my husband always says, like, a lot of times he'll make connections with people who he didn't expect to come into his path, and like, why was he there right now? You know, we just got somebody, you know, my husband was talking to somebody about web development, like, had nothing to do with Nashim at all, and like, it turns out, like, hey, he's gonna come revamp my website for me, because they just started talking, and like, and he's like, do you see the hashgacha in this? It's like those kind of things that if you're attuned to that, then you realize what am I meant to do here? Like, this is something that was thrown at me for a reason. And if you keep that in mind, and you're, you know, sometimes it's just like, why?
Rather than being aggravated all day that life isn't going the way you wished it went.
Why? We're ready to step. Like, you're realizing this is not purposeless. I'm not just the hamster wheel all day long. Like, there's a reason. And if you,
I love that, the hamster wheel. We need to get a hamster wheel. That's really good. That's great. Put that on a pink hamster wheel. We definitely need a pink hamster wheel, because it's so true. It's like another day. Oh, I've got, you know, just a full day of list of stuff that's got to be done. No time for me. We did the whole show last week. Go watch it. Self-care. The nine top secrets of self-care. So, you know, this whole thing about making time for ourselves. So that's fantastic.
I do a brain dump sometimes where you just like write everything down. And sometimes I'll do it multiple times a week. I'm like, I didn't get to this yet. This one I did, so I'm not putting on the new brain dump. But I have a lot of notebooks. We just keep listing more and more things.
You mean, what do you mean, like a brain dump? What are you writing in the notebook?
Just like if I have a ton of stuff to do. So I have a planner too. I keep myself organized in a lot of manners. That helps me also. But then, of course, you know, something will go haywire, and you're like, you're not in control. No matter how much you think you're organized, you're not in control. Right. But like, just knowing, like, I have this list in front of me. I'm crossing things off. You feel accomplished. So then,
can you show us your list? Do you have it there?
By the way, Rochel, you're getting hearts. Lots of hearts.
You're getting lots of hearts.
On Instagram. People are relating.
If I show you my list and then I move the stuff on the on my desk and everything falls, so I might lose you. So I'm not gonna.
Okay, fine. But it's a list of all the stuff that you have that you're.
Yeah, I literally put at the top today's brain dump, and I just list. I have to do this. I have to do this, and then I star the ones that need to be done first. I highlight. I'm like all for like, you know, messy papers. Like, this is me. Right. So like my family makes fun of me. Like, someone will tell me something, don't move, I gotta get my planner.
Wow.
That was, by the way,
and I'm like, no.
That was, by the way, Leia's tip last week of when you have a list that's so long and you've dumped all your stuff on it, and then at the end of the day, you're going to see that you didn't accomplish half of it. It's going to be very depressing. So if you highlight the stuff that is the most important.
Just circle 5 things like that's today. There's 14 things here. These 4 I'm going to for sure do.
I love the check marks. Like, I did this. You feel
right, no, but you're missing. What I'm saying is, only 4. Like, in other words, focus on the 4 things. If you got those done that day, when you hit the pillow, you're going to be like, okay, I didn't do everything, because we always think we're going to do everything on our to-do list, and maybe 1 out of 365 days we get all of the items done, because we make ourselves crazy with how many things. Like, we're like, well, I could do more. I could. That's the big watchword there, the big problem. So the issue is, if you write down your whole list, everything, so that's brain dump, as you say, but you circle about 5 of them and say, those are my must-haves. The other ones, I hope I get to. Then when you hit the pillow, you're better off. I want to tell you a little bit of a story I heard just a couple of days ago. This woman, unfortunately, her father was dying of cancer for like 2 or 3 years, and she was a young kid, maybe 10 or 11 years old, and she kept going, before she went to school, she kissed him goodbye, she went to school, and she didn't know if she was going to come home, if he was going to be alive anymore. It was a pretty tough thing. Anyway, he ended up dying. And she was the strong one. And so she just felt, she acted strong. Everyone, how are you doing? I'm doing good. And she was praised. You're so strong. You're such a strong girl. But she felt very, very lonely. She couldn't share with anybody. Her mother was a mess, unfortunately. Her sisters were a mess. So when she went to the first day of, I think it was 8th grade, and the teacher handed a notebook out to each kid and said, pour your heart into this journal. No one's going to read it. Write down your thoughts, your feelings. Be honest with what's going on with you, how you're feeling about life. And she kind of suspected years later that teacher knew the whole story and everything. She said, that notebook saved my life. It saved my life. She said, I started putting what I really thought would, I'm so upset with my father for leaving, and everyone else has a father, why didn't I have a father? And, on and on and on. And she said she wrote page after page after page, and it set her up for a lifetime. She's a writer. Set her for a lifetime of writing and expressing herself and acknowledging her feelings. So that's a little different than what you're talking about. You're talking about a planner, but I'm just talking about in terms of a way to process.
Yeah. Whatever you have to find the thing that keeps you exactly processing. That's a perfect word for it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So now let's just take a look. So here you are. You got 4 kids, littlies included, and you're busy making up, thinking of curriculums. Like, what's that about,
I happen to like that part. I do it at the beginning of the year. I wish I had time to do more of it.
Right.
I get excited. I go book shopping.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah. Did you have to go to school yourself to learn how to homeschool? Like, how does that work?
No. Honestly, sometimes I know tons of people who are learning with their kids. If you ask me past middle school math, I will laugh. But there's other ways to do that. I mean, there's so many ways to homeschool. That's like a whole conversation about the different ways to homeschool. But you don't have to be a certified teacher. That's also one of these misconceptions.
So cool. Okay, so you're there. You've got these kids at home. You're Amazoning the food, but that doesn't get you apples and oranges, right? I mean, like, you have to go to the grocery store at some point.
So it's funny that you mentioned that specifically, because we have like fresh deliveries. So technically I could get fruits and vegetables. It's like a 2-hour window. However, my husband doesn't like the way that they pick out the vegetables, because they're just throwing things in a bag. They're not careful. So he actually makes it his like chore to go Erev Shabbos and pick out fresh fruits and vegetables.
That's fantastic. Yeah, no, we're also
way to go, hubby.
Yeah, way to go, hubby. Okay, so fine. But now there you are. You've got a household to run. You've got your own stuff you need to do and take care of, and get your fingernails done, and get a new hat that looks adorable. All the stuff that you're doing, and now you think, oh, let me start a magazine. That would be a great idea. Like, hello, like, what's that about?
The way that I usually do anything in my life, this is just my personality, is kind of like head first. I don't really think about it. I just kind of jump. Because, you're right. If I sat and analyzed it, I would not have done this. I mean, I love it. I love it. I'm so glad that I didn't think before I jumped.
You love what? You love that you do that?
I love this project. This magazine is such a, it's changed my entire life.
In what way?
In a good way. Well, I mean, the whole premise of the magazine is the support of the community and to be able to be vulnerable and discuss things. So for me personally, there were a lot of bumps in the road when I first got married, and I was very young. I told you there's the medical stuff going on with my oldest, and I felt very isolated, actually, like what you were saying. I think a lot of times when people are going through trauma, they feel very alone and very isolated. And I think that, the magazine really started from that premise of like, I'm looking for a place to share, to connect with other people. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have that. And I felt, I knew that there were times in my life where I had felt alone. And I felt the need for this. I felt like, I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling this way, that I got isolated in this area. That's really how it started, when I was just kind of like, there's no place for this kind of connection, for this kind of vulnerability. And
what do you mean? Wait, hold on a sec. So you're saying, couldn't you join a support group? Why would you start like, that wouldn't be the first thing that comes to my mind. Oh, let me start a magazine. Oh, you're a writer. Uh-huh.
This is how I relate. I wrote, like you were, like the example, I write things, and I was writing essays. I finally was at a point in my life where I felt the need to express myself, and I found the headspace to do so after a lot of years of not. And where am I sending these essays? Like, people were taking some of my writings, like how to get your children to read, and like, how to organize trips, things that are, like homeschooling.
Everyone can relate to, and everyone wants new tips.
Exactly.
Right. Okay,
but
good.
I really did feel like I need a place to share more vulnerability, and because I don't want to feel alone anymore. And when I started writing these things, I needed a place to go, and I was looking around, and I felt there really was a hole. And when Nashim got off the ground, I have built my own extremely strong support system of friends that I am so grateful for and so lucky to have. Like, it's literally flipped my own life on its head. Like, the outpour, even like behind the scenes, I guess, of the magazine, for me personally, like, I didn't know I was looking for it myself, but it's been.
So you keep using the word, when we talked yesterday, also, in the pre-interview, you kept using the word vulnerable, like vulnerability. I really, I want people to have a place to be vulnerable. So what do you mean by that? What do you see? Explain what you mean.
So I think that today we live in a time where whatever's on display is handpicked. It's what you want your face to look like in the world. You look at any social media feed at all, and even when they're saying, this is my authentic day behind the scenes, here I'm unpacking boxes, or here's my mess in my house, they're still choosing what to put out there for people to see. So it's almost like inauthentic authenticity.
That's good. That's great. An inauthentic authenticity.
I'm not knocking anybody. I do it also.
Right.
But, I think that when people are going through hardships, when they're in the middle of it, and they're looking at the social media feeds and what's out there, everything looks perfect, and you're comparing your real life to everybody's like highlights. I did not make that sentence up. Someone else did.
Yeah, we actually have that as one of our memes that we just posted. So that was our Friday meme last week.
What was it?
So you definitely did not make that one up. Sorry, girlfriend. I think you took it off of our stuff.
What did it say, Sarit? It said
that you're using someone else's highlights as
your
as your ideal. Wow, scary, scary.
It's true. So I think that a lot of people are thinking, I'm the only one going through this. They're not realizing that this is fake.
What's this? Going through this.
These highlights. This is not what people are really going through behind the scenes. They're also suffering. I'm not saying everyone's suffering all the time, but like, everyone struggles. Everyone goes through hardships. Everyone has times in their life where they are going through trauma, and that there's nothing shameful about it. But if you're not seeing it spoken about in people's voices, where they're saying, hey, I've gone through this, and you're not alone, then they're going to think, hey, I'm the only one. This is shameful to speak about. We don't talk about this. We have to put on a persona. Otherwise, people might see the real me. And that's so scary for people to come out of their shell. So my goal is to build a community of support where you don't have to be afraid to be yourself, to get the support you need by speaking your reality. Nobody's gonna shoot you down for not being superwoman. Like, everybody struggles, and the amount of people who have reached out after I post like any article and said, hey, me too, I've been there, you're not alone, this person's amazing for sharing, I've gone through this struggle, and I'm so like glad someone else is.
Can you give us some examples of what kind of things people struggle, or what some of the articles are that people hit upon?
I mean, so many things, you know, infertility struggles. I mean, the big one right now is the miscarriage movement. That's a big deal. A lot of things like these are things that women do not talk about at all. Anything, you know, marriage related, even like struggles becoming more from finding yourself, finding your spirituality. There's mental health problems. I mean, we've had things on like drug abuse even. There's a lot of things going on in the community that are not spoken about. And that it's a shame, because it means that anybody who is struggling, where do they go? So, I mean, I think that it's very important to know that when you speak up about these things, you're not only going to be heard, but you're going to be supported, and people are offering you love and friendship. So that's what I'm trying to build.
That's fantastic.
Oh, we actually have Golden Path Organizing who asked, where can we buy your magazine? And Rochel, this is a great time for you to tell them that if they subscribe today or through our link, which we will be posting, they will get also a free Nashim t-shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
It better be a very cool free Nashim t-shirt is all I have to say. With like bling.
Do you have it? Do you have the t-shirt?
Where do they subscribe, Rochel?
No, I don't have one in front of me. They're being shipped to me as we speak.
Okay,
but
fine.
I know what they look like. They have the hashtag We Are Nashim on the back, and I mean, I love.
Oh, I love it. We Are Nashim. I love that. Yes, we are women. Hear us roar.
We are.
We're women. Hear us roar. But where do they? How do they subscribe for someone who wants to?
Okay, so you go on the website. It's nashimmagazine.com/subscribe, and it's for a year subscription.
Yeah. And it comes how often? How often do they get?
4 times a year, because I am not superwoman and I need to space out my yontif.
And with yontif and everything, yeah, that's fantastic.
Amazing.
And you just went to print, right? It used to be just an online magazine.
Yeah, so I've been online again 2 years, right? And then we started in print for our LL issue, and I am in the middle of proofing the sample of the Hanukkah issue, so it should be going out hopefully the end of next week.
Yeah, and if any one of our followers or supporters or whatever, if you have connections with distribution or whatever, I know that's something you were talking about.
Yeah,
that
we're getting it slowly, but
help each other.
Or if you have any, if you're a writer and you want to send in, I guess they can.
100%. Yeah. I love new writers.
As long as you're a woman, you could send in.
I have been asked that before.
So, if you had one thing that you would tell women in terms of, going easy on ourselves, because I think we all are very self-critical and angry at ourselves for not being who we think we could be or should be. If you had one thing you could tell women about maximizing their potential and allowing themselves to not be superwoman, what would that be?
I mean, that's really you don't have to be superwoman. I mean, I really hold of that feeling of like, I think especially when women get married, they have these expectations that this is what life is going to be like. And when it's not like that, because it won't be, I can 100% tell you that. Right. I will not just in marriage, in every part of your life, your whole life is not going to look the way you expected it to look. That's okay. It's okay. You know, it's not, I think expectations can sometimes be our downfall. I think that we need to really look at where we are right now and where we want to be and take small steps to try and get there without expecting it to look perfect, because we aren't in control of this life. So go with it, you know. Yeah. Just roll the punches.
Okay, I have a question, because we heard about your kids, and we do know your husband's very helpful and has a pizza store. But what's the effects of the magazine or homeschooling on him? Because I could see you wanting to do it and you being very
Go-getter,
excited about
yeah,
it, but how does he fall into
So
it?
the homeschooling or the magazine?
Both.
What-
Because I'm assuming he's not teaching anything, but he's saving on tuition. Maybe that might be nice.
Yeah, that's really cool, for sure. So actually, my husband is not. He's not a pizza fan at all.
He's not a what?
He's not a pizza
man.
man. That's not what he does. He's actually a serial entrepreneur. He has like 14 businesses. The pizza.
Oh, okay. So pizza is just one of them. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, pizza man.
No.
Okay.
We will laugh his head off. Believe me.
Okay.
So he makes his own schedule, and we kind of like fell into this lifestyle of like flexibility. He actually does learn with my boys in the morning. That's another question I usually get: who does Limudei Kodesh? Again, there's a lot of ways to homeschool. The way that it works with us is my husband used to be a teacher. That was his first entrepreneurial venture. He used to have a middle school for kids who weren't fitting in mainstream. So
That is so special.
wait,
they
the
they
husband
learn
what?
with their father.
Their father, but
Their
hold on,
father learns it. He used to be a teacher.
That what of what? I missed what you
So
said.
he actually had a middle school. It started as a tutoring group, and it just kept growing for kids who are not able to be mainstreamed in the schools. Like the other schools will basically call him and beg him to take these kids. Some of them are homeschooled, actually, because there's homeschooling. It doesn't necessarily mean there is a Rebbe involved. So people are looking for a Rebbe.
So they get to learn with him. That's huge. That means they get time with him. They get time with you. They get time with each other.
Yeah, but
mean,
you
the
know what?
benefits are like crazy.
Usually, so because
Rochel, you're starting a little bit to look like super family.
Yeah,
so
no,
I don't know.
Rachel, your back, your behind the scenes is looking better than some of our highlight reels here.
Okay, again, this is like, you're hearing parts of the story. You're not hearing the whole picture. So you have to
It's
always
okay.
keep that in mind.
Yeah. By the way, Golden Path Organizing did ask, but you'll finish that after. Is how do you stick to routine with a flexible schedule?
Yeah, that's my challenge. That's a very good question.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
There
you.
we go. See, she found my weak spot right there.
Lots of lists.
I hate routine, and my husband also does not like routine. I did used to have real jobs where I had to go out of the house, and I hated it so much. Like, so this whole entire lifestyle really works for us. But like, yeah, my older ones go to Minyan with my husband in the morning. He comes home and learns with them, and then he starts his day. My younger ones are, I get up when they get up, and then I get them ready, and I basically start work when my babysitter comes with my little ones, and I kind of have to stop throughout the day. And the baby, for example, she only lets me put her down for a nap. So I stop my work and I go put her down. That is why she is not sleeping right now.
Wow.
So, I mean, yeah, that's the challenge of the work-life balance for sure. And if I found the secret, I will let you all know, but I haven't.
Well, we originally were going to call this show Work-Life Balance with a Twist. And that twist was self-actualization, which you had begun to describe. So as we're wrapping up this interview, I would love to hear what you mean by that, by self-actualization, and also if you could tie that, also answer another question that I had, which is, what are you're kind of got your finger on the pulse. How do you put which finger would it be? This finger? This finger on the
pulse.
Oh yeah, like this,
Yeah,
right?
the
A pulse.
pointer finger. Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
You've got your finger on the pulse of the most vulnerable, as we say, issues of the day that women are feeling, that they don't feel like they have another avenue, another venue to express. So, those two questions, basically, what do you mean by self-actualization? And what, if you had your finger on the pulse, what are the things that women are dealing with more today than, what's the most common type of issues that you're hearing?
Well, I mean, really, the day-to-day struggle of running a household, being a mother, managing the work-life balance, that's something I think every woman could relate to, even without children. I mean, it's hard. And I think that's for sure. I'm not saying that that's the most common article that comes in, but it's kind of like underlying everything. So the self-actualization question is really, I think, in order to organize yourself, in order to balance, however that is, and again, I'm still figuring it out because my lifestyle has changed since I started Nashim, is to just make sure that you're checking in with yourself, that again, you're not pushing yourself to be superwoman, that you're recognizing these are normal struggles. You're not the only one going through this. This is life. This is what it looks like. This is reality. It's normal. And kind of just keeping that in the forefront of your mind, that everybody's day-to-day doesn't look like the highlight reel. So I think that's important.
Let me ask you, though, what do you mean by self-actualization? You said check in with yourself. Check in and do what, Well,
I mean, for a lot of the writers that write in for the magazine, I think that speaking about things that they're actually struggling with or that they've gone through, getting it out there is already therapeutic. I think like when you recognize what your struggles are, even like needles that you need to work on, or things in your life that you're not necessarily as happy with, and you're kind of asking Hashem, why do I have this in my life? If you're speaking about it and you're kind of like, it's almost like you're taking it out of yourself so that you can box it up and analyze it without getting so emotionally involved in it. And it's like a therapy for yourself. Like, I think the first step, obviously, is recognizing where are you struggling. If you're going about your day and in denial of the fact that, you can't be superwoman, and you think, no, I can do this, right. Then you're never going to be able to conquer your struggles. So I think that you're saying do introspection.
I mean, that's what the Mesilas Yesharim is, like doing a cheshbon, thinking.
Maybe you're a writer. Maybe I know podcasting to be the the thing that's catching on. Or even like you don't have to go out in the world. It could just be finding a group of friends that you can connect with and talk to. Or therapy is also good. Any way that you can take what you're struggling with and express it, and then kind of like look at it outside yourself and figure out how can I move on from this, or how can I use this to help me grow, it's always the first step.
So I'm missing something. You're saying sharing it, or you're saying understanding it for yourself, or you're saying both?
Sometimes sharing it is understanding it for yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be with others. I think for a lot of people, it happens to be that is the therapeutic way of doing it, of feeling, a lot of times when you express it, like, through an article. So when people give you that validation of saying this is normal, a lot of people can't necessarily validate themselves. It's an unfortunate thing, but sometimes that is very validating, and it takes the shame away from it. So once you can remove that feeling of like, I have to suppress this is shameful, I can't talk about this, you're already like on the path.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Right, well, what I actually love, and I think what I've sort of gleaned out of this entire interview, is that I think why it works so well for her and why really you're able to accomplish so much is because you're a very out-of-the-box thinker, and you don't allow yourself to just get stuck in the rut. So when your son was born and he had health issues, you weren't just like, well, I'm just going to have to suffer through the school system and, oh my gosh, and have to deal with all that heartache. You said, no, we're going to homeschool him. And when your husband
rolling with the punches,
she rolls with the punches, and she's very much like when you just said put your finger on the pulse, it's almost like she takes her pulse all the time. And she's like, right now, this is what I need to do. Right now, this is what I need to do. And this works for us now. My husband doing 14 different jobs and being the pizza man. Like, hello, that works. And
that's like, I don't like routine. I get it.
And she like so really, she's like good about it.
Also where a support system comes in, like, not to like, it's not all within me. I think that there are definitely times, like, I am a high anxiety person. I will be the first to admit that. And there are times when I do get caught up in my own head, and I'm like, I just had a transition period yesterday where I'm moving from one thing to another, and we're right at the cusp of going to print with our Hanukkah issue, and I was like, what do I do? And I had a good friend who came over here, and like she just walked me through it. And like a lot of times my husband, like the homeschooling idea was really his. He's like, because I was stuck. I was like, where do I put him in school? Nothing's going to support him. How can we do this? He's like, maybe let's think about homeschooling. And I'm like, amazing. I didn't think about that. I mean, this is why he's an entrepreneur. He has these creative ideas. So I think it's important to have those people around you that can help you think creatively, because I don't think I necessarily would have been able to
Come up with.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And taking other people's opinion. But I do have one very hard question coming in through from Golden Path Organizing, who's been asking amazing questions.
Awesome question.
This is a big one. She said, last question, how do you share, right, and how do you allow yourself to be vulnerable without crossing the line of tznius, without crossing the line of modesty? Because are you sharing too much, and how do you know when you're
Yeah, and then you have
crossing
this
that
thing where
line?
you're retroactively embarrassed about what you had
Exactly.
printed before.
Exactly.
Right. Listen, whenever you get out there and you put yourself out there, you're definitely opening yourself up to vulnerability and to feeling that, you know, it's scary. It really is scary. But I think that it's really two questions. I mean, it's the way that you phrased it. And I think she's probably asking more of like a tznius perspective. But it's
Well,
really
can I
like-
ask you, can people write into your magazine anonymously?
Yes, they definitely can. But I've seen over time, as the magazine's grown, less people have been doing that, because they see that they're getting the support they need. That
Right.
validation, that support, it makes you feel good, and then you're like, it was worth it.
Right.
It really, it happens to me. I'm actually a very big introvert, and I feel that vulnerability even talking to a friend about something happening in my life. But I've learned that sometimes opening up and being vulnerable is the opening for the best kinds of friendships and the best, you know, life moves. Like, I think that sometimes we have to pull down the facade and open up the walls a little bit, let people in.
Yeah, that's Leia's like big marriage tip that I always loved, was that if you're not going to let yourself be vulnerable with your husband, you're never going to benefit from what the relationship could be, because you're afraid to get hurt, so you're not opening up, and if you don't open up, then you're never going to have the relationship.
Have that
so
closeness,
but
right.
just answer that tznius question, because you like moved away from it.
Right,
The tznius aspect.
The tznius question is complicated. So first of all, I really impress this upon people a lot. This magazine is from women. I mean, I've had the question, forget men for a second, I've had the question of like, somebody actually accused me of being they said, like, what's wrong with people who aren't Orthodox? Like, are you like targeting them? I said, absolutely not. I just feel like a lot of the issues we're discussing are not generally discussed in the Orthodox world. And that's the people I'm specifically catering to, because they don't have that outlet.
Right.
I have no problem with anybody else reading the magazine at all. I just feel like I'm specifically saying, hey, this is a safe space for women who don't generally get that. So
Wow.
the line of tznius, I think between women, and that's already a step like inward. I am very careful with wording. I will say that. And a lot of times my writers will laugh at me like, hey, you changed this and I didn't think there was a problem with this word. They don't have a problem with it. They're just like laughing at me. Like, I try and keep as much sensitivities as I possibly can, because I know different people are sensitive to different wording. But when it's time to be blunt about certain things, there are things that have to be said. I mean, again, these are struggles people are dealing with, so it needs to be spoken about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And Leia ends up always saying, anyways, go ask your local rabbi. And if you have a good, good rabbinical counsel or mentor that can guide you before you do something, you're usually on the,
Okay, we've got to end. We could go on. You're really wonderful.
Yes,
It's
we're going to let all our people know about the
links and everything. It's very, very inspiring to meet you, to get inside your head and your heart. Very special lady, Rochel Lazar.
Yes.
And the name of the magazine is called Nashim Magazine, Nashim. And this is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.